Good afternoon, I'm Alan Unell, and this series of videos is Healthcare Advocacy, where we address problems in the healthcare system and take actions to make a better system for all of us. Today we're going to talk about the debacle that's going on in Washington, D.C. with Trump and how he is attacking the healthcare systems in the U.S. But before we do that, down below in the YouTube description box, you will see a link to the Healthcare Advocacy newsletter that is the text for this video. All of the actions, references, background material, all that stuff is in the newsletter. You can subscribe for free, have it delivered to your inbox almost every weekday. Let's get started. Trump has halted the Center for Disease Control report on bird flu. The Trump administration has intervened in the release of important studies on bird flu as an outbreak is escalating across the United States. One of the studies would reveal whether veterinarians who treat cattle have been unwittingly infected and unknowingly infected by bird flu virus while they were treating the cattle. Another report documents cases in which people carrying the virus might have actually infected pets at home, like their cats. The studies were slated to appear in the official journal of the CDC called the Morbidity and Mortality Weekly Report. I have a link to it in the newsletter, at least where it should be. The distinguished journal has been published without interruption since 1952, until this bozo got into the White House. A political lens over science means that we will not have accurate data on which to make decisions. We will be like mushrooms. Do you guys know what that means? It means they keep you in the dark and they feed you manure. Okay, by the way, I want to talk about more Republican memes. Bird flu is present in raw milk. It does not go away. You expose yourself to bird flu when you ingest raw milk. Pasteurizing the milk has been shown to kill the virus. Word to the wise, don't be drinking raw milk and don't give it to anybody. The fascist meme of protecting choice, like being free to choose raw milk, protects the right to make choices that result in illness and death. This is a cruel future that the fascists have in mind for us. Let's talk about repealing the Mexico City Agreement. Senators Jeanne Shaheen of New Hampshire and Lisa Murkowski, a Republican from Alaska, this last Wednesday, so that's yesterday, reintroduced a bill that would permanently repeal a policy called the Mexico City Agreement that restricts sending federal foreign aid to groups that provide abortion services. After Trump reinstated it last week, what a charmer. The lawmakers' move comes just days after Trump issued an executive order reinstating the policy called the Mexico City Policy. Others who oppose it actually call it the global gag rule. Anyway, the bill is called the Global Health Empowerment and Rights. Global Health Empowerment and Rights, HER, Health Empowerment and Rights Act, and it has been introduced a number of times in the Congress by Murkowski and Shaheen. Susan Collins used to sign on to it all the time. Anyway, great strides worldwide have been made towards ending preventable maternal and child deaths, reducing mother-to-child transmission of HIV, and combating gender-based violence. These advances have been made worldwide by NGOs with United States government support. Trump chooses to put all of that at risk. We need to stop him. So let's take an action. Contact your senators. Tell them you want them to support the Global Health Empowerment and Rights, HER Act, which will protect women's health worldwide. You can reach them at a link that will be in the newsletter, or my favorite, use ResistBot on your cell phone. Send a text message, sign, SIGN, space, PKKVUM, PKKVUM, to 50409 on your cell phone, and here's the message you'll send, short and sweet. The U.S. has helped reduce infant and maternal mortality around the world, supporting NGOs that provide health care to women. This new administration has dragged the anti-abortion anti-women Mexico City agreement out of the closet and refuses to provide assistance to those NGOs that provide health care to women around the world. Good news though, the Global Health Empowerment and Rights Act, HER Act, would protect women's health worldwide. I want you to support it loudly. Thank you. Take that action, please, as fast as you can. Next, another attack by Trump on healthcare. He fired 18 inspector generals, including the inspector general at Health and Human Services. The job of inspector generals in our government agencies is to serve as an independent voice to root out waste, fraud, and abuse. These are some of the folks we look to keep politicians like Trump and their donors, Musk, from robbing us blind. On Friday night last week, Donald Trump fired 18 of them, including those who monitor the Department of Defense, State Department, and HHS, and labor. This exact move was recommended in Project 2025. These firings need to be understood as him enabling theft by him and his cronies. They are enabling waste, fraud, and abuse with no guardrails. The firings, good news, are also illegal. As the inspectors general have pointed out, the president is required to provide a substantive reason, and political loyalty is not a substantive reason. A substantive reason for the firing of an inspector general to Congress, along with a 30 days notice. We are almost certainly going to see this in litigation, but the court case is not enough. We need to ensure that the public knows that Trump is giving his appointees permission to steal. President Trump's firing of HHS Inspector General Christy Grimm late last week was not the first time Grimm has come under his critical and jaundiced eye. I can only hope. Back in 2020, Trump sought to replace Grimm, who was running the Inspector General's office after her office issued a report detailing shortages of PPE. You remember that? Personal protective equipment, ventilators, and other supplies in hospitals nationwide during the beginning of the COVID pandemic. You can find this action from Rogan's List. Anyway, Trump had closed the executive office chartered with pandemic preparedness just before COVID hit, saying, who needs that? Okay, here's the action. Let's reach out to our members of Congress and tell them they need to take some sort of action in response to this Friday night massacre, or admit complicity in the corruption that will result. And they need to be loud, and they need to be aggressive, and they have to ensure the American people hear from them that Trump is firing the anti-corruption watchdogs. Look, we can start with language from Public Citizen. I have a link to it in the newsletter. I'll also try and put it into the YouTube description box. And of course, you can contact them at the link that's in the resources section of the YouTube description box. I want to talk about voter suppression, because voter suppression is what enabled Trump and his ilk to win. One of the major reasons Trump and MAGA fascists won was that they were effective at voter suppression, and we need to raise our voices and stop the latest fascist move in Congress called the SAVE Act, requiring every citizen to provide a passport or birth certificate in person to register or update their voter information in order to update voter information would impact all of us, and would be especially hard on working class Americans who'd have to take time off of work to do this, older voters, women who've changed their last name, and those who have lost essential documents due to natural disasters. The SAVE Act isn't about protecting elections. It's about creating unnecessary barriers that silence voters and weaken the democracy. You know what? I challenge you. Go find out how many people who are not citizens voted in a federal election any time in the last 10 years. I can only think of one, and it was in Texas. And she said she was sorry, but she was told she could register. It was an accident. One. Action. What you can do. I have a link, and I will try to put it into the YouTube description box. I will for sure, it is for sure in the newsletter. Go get it there. All you do is click on the link, and it's a click to send email to your members of Congress telling them to vote no on the SAVE Act. It only takes a minute and your voice will be heard. That's what I've got for you. Down below, you can like, share, subscribe, send me comments, send them here or to healthcareadvocacy1@gmail.com. Have a good day.